All right, welcome to this course. And the first thing, obviously, what you need to do is to open up Photoshop. Now, I have the latest version of Photoshop. You might have a different one. It doesn't matter. Everything can be done in every version of Photoshop. So, first of all, let's open up the image of our boy. So, you can simply take the image and drag it inside Photoshop or go to File, Open, and open up the image of the boy. Now, when we create digital art, we need to remove backgrounds from images a lot of times so we can use the image in our artwork. So this is the boy here. Let me zoom in a bit. I'm gonna click my mouse and move to the right. And you can see here we have a background of this image. We don't want to use this background. We only want to use this boy in our composite. So what we have to do here is we have to remove the image from the background. Now, there are some couple ways to do this in Photoshop. So let me first show the first way. You don't have to do this, but sometimes this is a way to select the subject. So if you go to select subject, especially in the latest version of Photoshop, this works pretty well. So if I'm going to click on this, it's going to try to select the subject. And you can see here, it does a pretty good job on this one. Maybe some parts here that it didn't select that we can manually select if we want to, but this is already a pretty good thing from Photoshop. So if you want to do this quickly and this works for your image, of course you can use it. Now, we have our selection here, and the only thing we have to do is to take this from the background. And the way to do this is to go down here while this is selected. You can see here we have the option to mask. And if we click on mask, it's going to make a mask and we don't see the background anymore. So that's really easy way to remove backgrounds. But you can see here, it doesn't really do a perfect job. Sometimes it does, but not always. So let me press Ctrl Z or Command Z if you're using a Mac to go back. And let me select this one. If I press right mouse, deselect, it's gonna deselect this. So now we're going to remove the background with the pen tool. And the pen tool is the best way to obviously make advanced selections and remove backgrounds. So this is what I always use. You can also use brushes to maybe brush some parts, but I would not recommend it. Try to use the pen tool always. It's the best way to remove background, and you can remove backgrounds without even seeing that you cut it out. So you can make it look really photorealistic. So first of all, let's select the pen tool, press right mouse, pen tool. Now, here you want to make sure you have selected a path and not shape, because we want to make a path around our subject and not draw a shape or something. So let's select the pen tool, make sure it's path, and let's just pick one point. It doesn't really matter where. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard or Option on Mac and scroll your middle mouse, you can zoom in. So that's really easy. Hold down Alt, scroll a bit in, and we can zoom in and out if you want to. Now, if you want to move our artboard around, so I wanna, for instance, see the top part here. I can't see it anymore. I'm gonna hold down space on my keyboard, click the mouse, and move it up. And that way we can easily move through our image. So we don't have to zoom in, out, and move around with this thing here, because that takes a lot of time. We want to do this fast and don't want to spend a lot of time on it. So let me hold down Alt again, zoom in, and let's start with making our first point. This is where we start. Now, the next point obviously should be somewhere where this path would go. So this goes like this. And if we click here, let's click here. Now, if I click and hold my mouse, I can make this curve. And you can see here, it doesn't work so well on this one. So I'm gonna release it, press Ctrl Z or Command Z and click a bit closer to it. So we don't take too much area at once. We take a little part first. So let's do a little part here. Let's click here. Hold down your mouse, make a little curve and release it. So that's our first line we created. Now let's make the second one. So we go on, click, hold the mouse, make a little curve and release it. Now you see this anchor point. This is where, let me show it, this one, the end. This is where our selection will go. So if you want to make this selection, just make sure this anchor point goes the same direction the next click somewhere would be. So this is fine for now. Now let's move on a bit here and let's move it here. Let's put it there and let's make this corner like that. Release it. That's it. Now, if we get to a point this where you have to go the other way, so we're going down here, if you see closely, and it goes the other way, then we have to click here, hold down mouse, and if I'm gonna, well, I'm still holding the mouse. I'm gonna click Alt on my keyboard, hold down the Alt, and you can see here, we can move this anchor point around. So I'm holding down the mouse Alt, and I'm gonna bring this to the center. That way we can start from the beginning. So we can make like a really hard corner here because we want to make a hard corner. And let's move out there. Without the Alt, I'm gonna click again, there and there. And you can see here, we are going in the other direction. Now again, we have a bit of a corner here. Still holding the mouse, press Alt, hold down Alt, and take this corner and bring it to the center. And that way we can create some hard corners here. And let's go there. And you can see how easy I can make these selections. And this is a perfect selection of our subject. And when we do this, we're gonna create like photorealistic selections, and people won't even notice that we cut it out from the image. Now you can see here, I have to go the other way. So if I'm not gonna hold down Alt, it's gonna go like this curve. I don't want this curve. I want to go like here, directly that way. So let me press Ctrl Z. Let me go back. Let's do this again. Hold down Alt or Option on if you're using a Mac, and bring this anchor point to the center. Release everything. And then you can start from this side. And you can see here, we are going that way instead of making this curve. So this is good to make these corners. Now let's move on. There. And after some time, of course, this is really zoomed in. You don't have to really zoom in that much, but I'm just gonna zoom in like this so you can see this very good. And after some time, when you do these selections, when you make these selections in Photoshop with the pen tool, you get used to this and you will make perfect selections of your whole image. So do this around the whole image, especially if you're gonna use this image like small in the background. You don't have to do this like this precisely. Of course, if you like to do it, you can do it, but it's not so important. You won't even notice it. But I'm doing this perfect now, so the artwork will look perfect. So here again, bring it back, and let's do it like that. You can also take bigger parts on some areas, or you can click pretty fast if you're used to it, like I do. Sometimes I just, oh, that's a bit too much. Sometimes I click very fast like this, and this will easily make quick selections. And you can see here, I don't have to spend much time on it. Of course, it takes a little bit of time to do this, but because this boy is pretty important in our composite, I want to make sure he doesn't look like bad cut out. I want to make sure he looks good in this image that we are creating. So let me go down here, here. Oh, do it there. And these parts here, I can even take bigger parts. So for instance, maybe like that. I don't even hold down Alt here because I can see here it goes pretty good here. I don't have to do exactly like his shirt here is going. I can go a little bit inside this. Doesn't really matter. As long as it looks real, it's fine. And here I would hold down Alt to bring it back because we have this little corner here. Let's see, let's go there. And this will do around the whole image. It takes a bit of time, of course. It's not the most fun part to do. I don't like doing this, of course, because you can also find images online that are already cut out. So sometimes I just go on Google and I search for something like, for instance, tree, but I don't want to cut out the whole tree. I want to have it without the background. So if you search for images, like for instance, a tree, and you put PNG behind the text, you will find images without backgrounds, or PNG transparent, something like that. You will find a lot of images that are without a background. So that's really easy trick to find some stuff without backgrounds if you don't want to waste much time on it. But if you have the time and if you enjoy it, of course, it's better to do it this way, because then you have like an original image that you cut out and it's really unique from anything else that's available. Now, let me try this. His hair here is pretty okay. Then here. And if I you can see here I do this and then I press space on my keyboard and I can move this around. So I don't have to zoom out, move the artboard to up and down. I can just easily move it with the space. Now let's do here, here. Obviously this is gonna take a little bit of time, but we are not in a rush. We can do this precisely. And let's see, we have the light here, some shoe there. So you can see here I'm already halfway done with this. And if you want to zoom in, out, some parts you better zoom in to see this better. Let's see, this is fine. Hold down Alt again. I'm just gonna do this a bit quickly here. So let's take a whole part here, like that. Hold on, Alt, bring it back. Okay, the flashlight, I want to make sure it's a bit good cut out because it's a bit lighter than the rest. So I want to make sure this is a nice cut. So I'm not gonna make mistakes here because you will obviously see it when we have some lighter parts. If we have darker parts, like maybe shoes, you probably will notice some bad cutouts. But these parts are a bit lighter, so make sure the lighter parts are good selections. Let's move on like that. And let's see here, here. All right, I'm almost there. So if you practice this with different images, you get better at this at some time. Of course, in the beginning, you probably won't make good selections because you are new to this, but after some time, you get used to it and you can do this really fast. Sometimes I just do it really fast because, well, it's not so fun to do. So you just click very fast. Let's see. We're almost there. Let's do a bit there. And you can see here that we get to the darker parts like his shoes. I don't want to waste time on this. I'm just going to do this quickly. Maybe I don't even need the stuff that's here. I'm just going to skip that one. Because this is the bottom part. We have a dark composite like evening. So these parts, you can do this precise if you want to, but I'm just going to do it like this because these darker parts you won't even see. We also have grass in our composite. So this will be behind the grass. You probably won't even see this. So I'm just gonna do this quickly. Don't need that part. So if you wanna save some time, just skip these parts at the bottom. All right, we're almost there. Then let's see. This needs to be a bit more precisely because if we're gonna do it really quickly on all the parts, it probably will look a bit cheap. We don't want to have a cheap design. We still want to have look a professional design, like it's done with care, but some parts you just hide so people won't see you did it fast, but you actually did it. Let's see. Oh, if you make a mistake, you just press Ctrl or Command Z to go back. You can even press a couple of times if you want to go back a lot. And you can actually also move these points around. I will show it in a minute. If you, for instance, finish the whole selection like this. Let's see. Oh, we're almost there. If let's finish this first. And maybe you see one point is not where it's supposed to be. You can always move that point a bit around. So that's the best thing about this selection with the pen tool. You can always adjust points. All right. Once you get to the first point, you want to close the selection, right? So now it's closed because we got to the first point. And now I'm gonna press right mouse click. And here we have make selection. And with make selection, it's gonna make a selection of our path that we created. Now, the feather radius is how soft you want to have this. If you want to have a really hard edge, so without a bit of a blur, you can use 0. I don't use 0. 0 is maybe for something like if you cut out a square or something, I don't know. But I barely use 0. I used to use it, but now I don't use it. I always use 1. And 1 makes it a bit more softer and a bit more photorealistic. Now, press OK, and it made this selection you can see here. Now, what I want to do now is I want to create a mask of this. So it's make this selection. And to do this, I can simply go down here and click on mask. And we have the background removed. And you can see it's a lot better than we did with the automatic stuff from Photoshop with select subject. That was a bit not perfect. And this is almost perfect. There is a little part here that we also have to do. So I'm gonna zoom in here. And while this mask is selected, I'm gonna start here and also make a little selection of this part. So we can also remove this. So don't forget these parts that are not in your first selection. You can see here, this is still the background from the original image. We want to remove that one. So you can see here, this is just a little part that we can quickly do. Close the selection, press right mouse, make selection. Keep the feather at 1 again. And now if I press D on my keyboard, it's gonna bring the colors to default. And with black, we can remove stuff in the mask, and with white, we can bring it back. So I'm gonna make sure the mask is clicked here. And if I press Control Backspace or Command Backspace, it's gonna make this black because we have here black selected as the background color, and black removes stuff. So when the mask is selected, so now it's removed. Now I'm gonna select this tool, press right mouse, deselect, so we deselect the selection. Now if I hold on Option or Alt on Windows, I can zoom in and out. And you can see here, let's take the move tool. We have this boy cut out and it's perfect. So there is a way to remove backgrounds. You can use this method for all your images and get used to it. And let's move on to the next chapter.